Welcome, beloved, to this edition of Hear, O Yah, Is I Is or Is I Ain't. Your brother, Gidon Ben Yasharal. Where's all the children's at? Hurry up, and get them children. Where's Big Mama? Where's Papa? Go out into the highways and the byways and bring all the kinfolk around the television set. Why? Because we have a special. That's right. We have a special program designed specifically with you in mind. But of course, the views and opinions expressed are those of me, a po-colored country boy, cotton picker by way of Israel, and not those and the panelists that y'all have set, but not those of Comcast, their management, advertisers, or affiliates. And of course, there is a mature verbiage alert. Somebody turn the speaker down here in the studio for me. And as you know, there is a mature verbiage alert. But today's program title is Smiling Faces. Smiling Faces. You know, it's interesting because in the generation that I come from, that was one of the songs that I believe it was the Temptations.
No, Undisputed Truth.
Undisputed Truth. Yes, thank you. That's why my beloved elder brother is here at the sundown. It is smiling faces tell lies. They don't tell the truth. You hear me now? Smiling faces tell lies, and I got proof. Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, it says the enemy, the pat on the back, the smile, and all these things, they project one thing. But at the end of the day, it's like going into the Christian church or the Hebrew church or some of these other places, and we hold hands and we hug, and at the end of the day, before you know it, you got a big butcher knife sticking in your chest and in your back. It's a reality of the circumstances of living in America that the smiling faces that white supremacy has given us do not reflect the evil that lurks within. And that evil is part of the process of manipulating and controlling and creating the Negro, the one who has forgotten his history, his ancestry, his ideology. You know, and let me a couple of things in the news here. You know, we did this show on the arena, the beloved brother, black son, the evolutionary revolution, him and the fellas on deck in here right now. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you come on now. And the reality of the situation of our people, this show we did, the last one had to do with the killings in France. And of course, our heart goes out to all loss of life, but their heart has never gone out to our lives being lost, killing our children, killing our women, killing our brothers in the street without any compunction. And the whole thing was supposed to have been about freedom of speech. They say, you know, they can talk about whoever, whatever they want to because it has to do with freedom of speech. We know that is a lie. But this is the thing. I was doing a little research, and I ran up on this story coming out of France, Valence, France, I believe it is. You can Google it, where this couple produced a child. And this child, they wanted to name, and many of you know about peanut butter. You know about, we've had it ever since the great scientist, one of the brothers, was it? George Washington Carver came up with so many different products out of the peanut. But now we have this new product on the scene, and it's called Nutella. It's made out of almonds and other nuts. Well, in France, which claims to be about freedom of speech, this family, guess what they wanted to name their child? Nutella. That's right. It wasn't after the nut mixture, but that was what they chose to name their child. And guess what? the judiciary stepped in and told them, no, you cannot name your child Nutella. Why? Because they claimed it was for the benefit of the child, that the child would be harassed and belittled and could be made fun of. But this was the child's parents' choice. And what did the judge say the child's name had to be? Ella. They couldn't name it Nutella, but they took the last part and made it Ella. But they claim they're about freedom of speech. Lie, lie, lie. And your pants on fire, and more than that's going to be on fire. You keep talking about the wrong folks. You feel me? So when this issue of freedom of speech is a propaganda tool that Whitey uses when it's beneficial for them and not for the very parents who produced the child and they wanted to name it Nutella. But they said no. And secondly, this one hits close to home. I hope we don't get cut off the air because of this one right here. You know, Comcast is a powerful mogul industry, multimedia conglomerate, international. Yes, but just like because they're controlled by humans, and guess what? Humans make mistakes. Yes, sir. And it was announced on the Daily Buzz on Channel 16, on the regular TV channel that is not cable, that you got the rabbit ears on there. And they announced that Comcast sent out a bill. And you know, in the biblical term, the term ass is a very definite term that relates to the animal that's relative to the mule. Yep. And it's used, the term ass is related to an animal. Yep. Well, this Comcast, we're sitting in the studios of Comcast, by the way now, they made a mistake and sent out the bill, and it had ass and hole on it and the person's last name. And that was a big deal. So when the people called, they said, whoa, wait a minute, what is this? And of course, Comcast sent them an apology, waived all their past bills, and then guess what? Gave them 2 years free service. So they made up, or tried to make up, for that mistake. But it was interesting, and it was a funny thing. You have something to say. Yeah. Go ahead, my brother.
What it was is, you know how they call the people call you about your bill?
Exactly.
You know, behind or in delinquent.
Exactly.
So the person that was working for Comcast got into it with the customer.
Oh.
And that's how that came about. So they got into it heated, which I have.
Okay.
Me and them.
Yes, sir.
We done got into heated discussion.
Yes, sir.
And I done called on they butt.
Yes, sir.
But what it was, after they hung up, the Comcast guy, that's when he sent the email calling them.
Oh, so it wasn't a mistake.
No.
Oh, my God.
They were fussing and about to go at it over that bill.
Yes, sir. Well, Comcast came correct. Yeah. They apologized. And I don't know if it, of course, if he was a white guy, he probably still does have his job. But it had been one of us. We've been out the door and everything. And so that was just a very interesting component of what we have to deal with in this country. So those particular news stories really caught my interest, and I hope it made you chuckle a little bit. And of course, lastly, we got the story of the Super Bowl, the superstars, and this gladiatorial event that they've turned into something that's more important than life itself to some of the Negroes that have been processed into white supremacy. And our children, we allow them to run up and down these fields in these little tight pants and run into each other and beat each other down like animals so that the owners can make billions of this fake money. And it's one of those, I'm going to let you come in here, and it's one of those things where it's become a tradition that our people who have been processed by this love more than life itself. And some people even have get arguments with the wife, kick the dog, and everything else if their team don't win. It's a child's game. Look at it as for what it is, not for what they've made it out to be, but for what it is, a child's game to make white men richer and for them to flaunt their females out there and all the other accoutrements with white supremacy. What were you about to say about that, Elder Sundown?
This year, the NFL grossed $9 billion. $9
$9 billion.
Now the Super Bowl is compared to the 4th of July now.
Yes,
That's
sir.
how big.
That has
Because
gotten.
it's worldwide now.
Yes,
with the
sir.
Satellite and the internet.
And let me just say this lastly. WAOK, I was listening to my beloved brother, Dr. F. Keith Slaughter. Listen to Dr. Slaughter because you oughta. And he is a very powerful intellect. He's a president over at ITC, and I remember his preceding president, Dr. Costins, his beautiful wife, Craig Costins, who I graduated from high school with at Southwest Atlanta. And he had my beloved brother, I say beloved, but you know, evidently my man, I got on one of the brothers' nerve, Brother Mitchell. Brother Mitchell is one of those individuals who has brought himself to prominence by talking about how much money he makes and certain types of, I've been on the air with him a few times. See, this is the thing. CBS, WAOK, CBS Radio, they only want the processed Negroes who love white traditions, white supremacy, and promote everything that's white. And they gonna, the people who carry the white man's name and love it so, now they can kill us, lie, cheat, take our land, but the Negroes that they promote on there gonna make sure that the only way they're gonna let them on there is they promote everything white. So I've been on there just as a stand-in once or twice. You know, they let me come in because they brought other people, but they never let a talk show host come on there who has an African Hebrew name that don't promote white supremacist agenda and ideals, because they have promoted, protected, and processed you Negroes who love Whitey, who love his agenda. And the ideology of white supremacy is rooted in how you look, the way you walk, how you talk, and the foods you eat. And they're all killing us, but the ones that love him so are going to make sure they promote their white master's agenda. I don't know why Comcast keep letting me be on here, but the reality is, when you look at the realities of what has happened in this system, what they're doing to the air, the water, and the earth, they don't even love their own children, because if they did, they change the agenda and the things that they do to the earth, the planet, and the air. Also, I want to cap it off with the epistles. You know, we always go to the scriptures right here, and it is in Galatians chapter 5, and I want to pick it up at verse 15. And it says at verse 14, and it says this: for all the law is fulfilled in one word, in this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. You trying to tell me Whitey been reading this book all this time, and they killing, you know, from Trayvon to Michael Brown to Eric Gardner to my brother Jackson down in Valdosta, where they killed our children with impunity, with their hands up, and they claim to believe in this book right here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It says, but if you bite and devour one another, take heed that you be not consumed one of another. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would. But if you are led of the Spirit, you are not under the law. I'm going to drop it right there. I drop that big steak on y'all. I'm going to let you munch on that for a little bit. If you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. See, a lot of my Hebrew family, they ain't picked up on that one yet, because they talk about the law, but there is the carnal law, and that is the spirit of the law, which is why when the Messiah, these legalists brought this woman who was caught in the very act of adultery. And what happened? The Messiah dropped down and said, what should we do with this woman right here? She was caught in the very act of adultery. And the Messiah, he squatted down and started writing in the sand. And he said, let him that is without sin cast the first stone. And when he said that, the spirit of truth hit these, let me just be very nice. They hit these individuals, and not one of them could throw anything, because they know, as we all know, all of our garments are stained to a certain extent, and they all walked away. See, that is the spirit of the law, and so when their all accusers walked away, the Messiah says, "Where are your accusers?" And she said, "They've all left." And then he said, "Well, then go and sin no more." It is that philosophy that we must walk in as we walk among killers, liars, thieves, those child molesters, the manipulators, and those who use a smile to cover the evil that lurks within. And now to the powerful panel right here. It is, you heard her before, but it isn't Doug Martin. It's a friend of his, and she's a very powerful spokesman and an individual who's about physical and spiritual health. Her name is, go ahead and introduce yourself, sweetheart.
Hi, my name is Shay Hope.
Shay, and we all need hope. That's right. And to her right, you know who he is. His name reflects his time of day, but not a state of dying. Assalamu alaikum, Elder Sundown.
In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. I greet you in the words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum, shalom alaikum, peace and blessing, my brother.
Elder, it is, for me, a very interesting thing. And I want you to tell us, as the news correspondent for the Hero Yah program, what has caught your eye in the news, and what is the spirit for you today?
Okay, I'm sitting watching CNN around noon yesterday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bulletin come across the screen. Mm-hmm. Bobby Christina, Whitney Houston daughter,
Woo!
been rushed to intensive care. She in induced coma. Now she was found face down in the tub.
Like her mama.
Right. Now, what upsets me, her husband was there,
right,
and two of their friends. So it were three people in the townhouse with her.
Come on now.
This happened around 10:30 in the morning. See what I'm saying? Just like with Whitney.
Yes.
In that suite she was in,
yes,
it was people's in that room while she was in the bathroom, in the tub. See, so, something just don't smell right. Don't smell right. And then the sister that killed her three babies up there in Cobb County, ex-military.
Come on.
Been Iraq,
Yeah. Yeah.
Then the other sister walking on 285, get hit by a utility truck.
Several
military.
Folks, yes.
Military.
Come on.
Matter of fact, they offered her a ride home at the service station.
They one of the police officers asked
right.
her to ride.
And then the service station she was at, her apartment's a couple of blocks.
Right.
But she told the people at the service station that the military been following her, tapping her phone. So, bro,
and we know that's true.
Right.
They tapped all our phone, every keystroke on the computer.
Right.
Now, I want to ask you this question, because, see, when we talked about the case in Florida where the lady, Miss Johnson, killed 5 of her children.
Right.
Shot them down, killed them in the house.
Right.
3 of them got out.
Right.
She, okay, I'm all right. I didn't mean to kill. Lulled them back in the house, killed them, and then killed herself.
Right.
Now, these children had fathers.
Right.
But rather than give the child to the father, they'd rather turn them over to the killer machine, white supremacy.
Right.
Talk to me about
now,
this.
Now, brother, this happened back in the 80s. My brother and I, which is my confidant, when we put our two heads together,
yes, sir,
ain't nothing we can solve. We experienced that back in the 80s.
Come on.
Where the mother got angry with the father.
Yep.
And wanted to keep the child away from the father.
Right.
But what did these two fathers did? In the name of Allah, they did not give up.
That's right. That's right.
See, when you said put the hand back in the killer, now it's two people to lay down and conceive that child.
That's right.
Now, my mother always told me, out of the two people, somebody got to have some damn sense.
Hello?
in order to sake for the child.
That's
and
right.
that you put your difference aside.
That's
I
right.
done heard some of them TV judges say, I don't care how angry you is with the other one.
Right.
You put that aside for the benefit of the child. So the child can grow up. Brother, I wasn't married to none of my children's mother.
Right.
They ain't never been in trouble, brother.
That's right.
Because when the mother had them and the one I had them in the summer and during the holidays.
That's right.
We went to the park. I
That's
read to them. All the stuff that mothers do, I did.
Yes, sir.
I cooked for them.
Yes, sir.
I bathed them. I
That's
washed their
right.
clothes.
That's right.
Because my mother said she wasn't going to tolerate that.
That's
and
right.
I had a mother that ruled with an iron fist.
Mm.
She played both husband and, see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I had a mother that taught me about cleanliness.
Yes, sir. That's right. That's right.
She forced us to be clean.
That's right.
You and a couple of days when we went by, you ain't bathed, you going to pay the consequences.
That's right.
You ain't going to brush your teeth, you going to pay the consequences.
That's right.
When she said on Saturday morning when she did the washing, you didn't have your stuff out. This is when you live.
Yes,
because
sir.
as you became a teenager,
That's right.
she ain't tolerate that. You go in there and put your stuff in the washer.
That's right.
Now she'll do the ironing and other stuff, but at
Come on.
least you do.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? So, brother, we can't, just because, I heard Minister Farrakhan say it back in the 80s.
Come on.
Say you rape one of the sisters in the nation.
Right.
And the SOB, the court system,
Right.
let you off.
Right.
You ain't off with us.
No, sir. Somebody get
And
me
I
to
told
come
a
see
sister
about
in the
you.
90s,
That's right.
I could be 90 years old, and my daughter and my granddaughter come and tell me some SOB raped them,
That's right.
and they still living.
Yes, sir.
You see what this 93-year-old with the help of God do for you.
Well, brother, let me just say this because, and we're going to get to my sister here. My children, see, my children came from generational one parents, and I saw the results. You know, my first wife, you know, I have a daughter that in college. When I found out she was pregnant, I wanted to marry. I went and met her mama, her sister, and everything.
Right.
But when she found out I was broke and then
Poor.
had no money, she told me, her mother said, we don't need him.
Right.
So when she said, I want to have an abortion, she gave me this sob story. I'm the only one that's been to college and blah, blah, Z.
Right.
And so I went dumb, stupid, and raised almost $500 to have my child killed for what she said. So when I gave her this money now, this is for these young men out here. You don't know what's going on. These sisters be getting coached from way back. Mama, grandmama, ain't it? When she got that money in her hand, she said, oh, yeah, by the way, this ain't your child, and I'll see you later. So after 30 years now, 30 years, the Spirit moved me. I went back to Mississippi. I found her. She looked at me, and I was walking to her. She said, she looked like you. She walked like you. She built like you. But I ain't going to tell her you her daddy because I done told this lie that this other dude is her daddy. And I'm not going to change that lie. And so many situations have reoccurred like that. Right. And then with my own biological children, my wife of 18 years raised my other 3. And so I found my daughter, sent her a letter as to what happened. Her mother had filled her with so much hatred toward me that she wouldn't even receive. She did receive the letter, but then I sent her the picture to let her see her grandma. She looks just like her grandmother. My mother is beautiful. And her siblings, my 2 sons and daughter, she looks just like them because all her mother would let me do is see a picture. She wouldn't even receive it. Now, because, wait a minute, but let me say with my biological mother, with the children of my biological children, rather, all of them are biological, but anyway, the one that I married through this court system, you know, she was always about money. She was running after the dollar, job here, job there. I always kept a consistent job, worked for this bank for 20-some-odd years, and I saw her grandmother, her aunts, all of them, they had sons. Guess what? All of them were dead. And when I saw it, I said, it won't happen to mine. And when our relationship started going south, brother, like you said, me and Brother Daniel, who's been on this program for many years, we got custody of our children. Because when the judge took my son back, he said, who do you want to be with? Because he was of age at that time. I wasn't going to leave until they were of age. And my son said, look, my daddy is hard disciplinarian, and my mama will give me anything. But he said, looked at that judge, and the judge came to me and told me this. He said, but my mama can't teach me how to be a man.
Teach.
You know, that hurt me, boy, and I'm about to swell up right now. And that judge came to me and he went to my other children, all separate. He said, who do you want to be with? He said, we love my mother and my father. He said, but we just want to be together. And when he said that, that was the Most High now. That was the only reason I was able to get the house. When he said that, my wife, she hollered out so loud in that courtroom, the judge said, y'all go out this way. She's going to have to go out. So I want to bring this sister in here.
Right, but
go ahead and make that.
Okay, now didn't you say you went to Morehouse?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sure did.
There are people that there studying law.
Yes, sir.
When you got in trouble about your child in there, see, I done seen white men, their children be taken overseas.
That's right.
They get the law and they get lawyers to go get their children. So I'm saying you went to Morehouse, their lawyers could have aided you, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you could have fought them damn parents, that girl parent.
Well,
and you know.
Well, it was the Most High. That law.
No, I'm just saying to you is.
Yes, sir.
You had access to people that could have helped you.
Yes, sir.
I mean, not completely take the child.
That's right.
I'm saying have some say-so about your daughter in Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, that situation.
Yeah,
where you said, we don't need you. That's bull crap.
That's exactly.
There's laws on the book, but you got to have folks in your corner, brother.
And that's what men see.
No, that's what most
men
black people
in America are hated. They hate a real man. Now, let me bring Miss Hope in here.
Yeah, I was about to say, I definitely love a real man.
Go ahead and speak, because I want you to speak on this issue of Whitney Houston's daughter,
Bobby Christina,
and the issue of our broken families and how a lot of women, not all, but most, have joined the white women rather than African women and the culture that was given to us. Speak to us as you.
Absolutely. The situation with Bobby Christina, I actually am kind of close to that situation. I do know some of her family members, and I think it's horrible that her life is on public display. You know, she was a young child basically when her mother was taken away from her, and she wasn't allowed to grieve in private. So every moment from the time Whitney died till now, everything's been on, you know, social media. Yes, every action that she takes, and she just has vultures around her. She doesn't know who to trust. You know, the young
Smiling
man.
faces.
Exactly. She doesn't know who to trust, who's there because she's Whitney Houston's daughter, or who's there because they really love and care for her. And I pray over her. I really do. And it was so interesting to me that I was listening to the radio this morning, and they said that there was a caption that Bobby Christina wrote under a picture of herself. She put it on Instagram maybe a couple of months ago or a year ago, of herself doing narcotics. And in the caption, she was saying basically, Lord help me, I know that this isn't right, but you know, take these demons away from me. So she's crying out for help. She's been crying out for help the whole entire time. But she doesn't have, and I don't know, I can't speak about her husband, but from what I see, he isn't there for her.
Oh my goodness, that's what they said about Bobby.
He doesn't seem like he's there for her, because I questioned the whole instance with her being in the bathtub. Like, why is she in there by herself, and what are y'all doing in the room? And then you come and all of a sudden you find her in the tub. That sounds very suspect to me.
Oh, wait a minute now.
That sounds very suspect.
She's a grown woman now. I go in the bathroom by myself.
Brother, I'm gonna go back to what she. See, I was at another one of my buddies' shop Wednesday.
Yes.
And we brought up the same. At least I brought it up.
Right.
That the girl ain't had time to grieve, brother.
Yeah.
She's
so
still
when
not home.
you not yourself, it's people can take advantage of you.
Yeah.
Now, brother, if I saw you in trouble, I ain't talking about physical trouble. I'm talking about psychologically.
Sure.
Me having love for you, I'm gonna direct you. I'm gonna keep my eye on you. See, this goes back to what Realist said last week about his little girl. Now, I didn't say nothing, but when Zakia and her brother were young, I ain't let them out of my eyesight.
Yeah.
Daddy, can we go? Nope. It's where I can see you. Now, they mess around and the ball went and I got up and went round there to see. See what I'm saying? So when you got people that's not of themselves and they're sick like that, you can't be letting them go to the bathroom.
You can't.
Keep the door.
And how long was she there? Because we still don't know that. How long was she in the bathroom by herself? How long was she in that state? I know that the full story hasn't come out, but I'll be very, I'm very interested to hear how long she was, what were they doing while she was in there, and how long
they got
was
to
she
want to go
in
and sweep that whole townhouse.
They don't care nothing about it. Now let me ask you, because in America what we see is a divorce rate that's upward of 70%.
Yes.
And when I talked about the African relationship, when I see American women today, I see it's almost like we hate our hair, we hate our culture, the way we look, our nose. We've been processed. What are your thoughts about the cultural divide between, we claim to be African American,
right,
but when we look at the American woman, she's more targeting her look and history after the white woman who hates her because of your beauty,
right,
versus
who's trying to be
African,
more like us.
Exactly. Speak to us in reference to that.
This conversation is, we can go round and round about it because my girlfriends and I talk about it, all the time. I believe there's no other beautiful woman than a black woman. I believe we are beautiful. I do think that, media and things have definitely taken, has taken a hold of sometimes the way that we feel about ourselves. But I'm very positive and optimistic about the fact that we are starting to embrace our natural hair and different things. I wear my hair natural. My hair, this is not my natural hair right now. Right. But I am a sister who works out, so I like diversity. Right. And I don't think that speaks to me, downing my culture or my roots. I'm very proud of who I am. I'm one of those people that can honestly say I will never get plastic surgery because I feel I don't need it. We as black women, we age gracefully and beautifully, but unfortunately, sometimes we get things.
Kanye West mother.
Yeah, we get shooed aside by our black men even sometimes and picked over for the light skin, wavy, beautiful hair and booty shots and breast augmentation and it's like, our young kids think, is that how we're supposed to look? Is that what will get us a man? And you have these, one of my girlfriends honestly believes that when a man gets to a certain status in life, these athletes and rappers and entertainers, that instead of them going for a sister, they automatically feel like they have to get something of, European descent. So I think it all starts in the home, though. It really does. It all starts in the home and how you were raised. And when you have a broken home and you have a daughter being raised without her father, she doesn't always have that role model to tell her, okay, you as a woman, as a black woman, this is how you're supposed to be treated. And this is how black men should talk to you and treat you and provide for you or do this and this and that. I was raised by a single mother. My mom raised 5 children by herself and put us all through college. And
so sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad, but she did a beautiful job. But I'm not going to even pretend like not having my father in my life didn't affect me somehow. Because it absolutely did.
Exactly.
It absolutely did. And my son, I raised my son by myself.
Oh my goodness.
I did.
The curse continues.
I did. I raised my son by myself, and although my son is 21 and in college and a handsome, articulate, intelligent young man, but I could never teach him how to be a man.
Thank you.
A woman can never teach a man how to be a man, just like a father can't teach a girl how to be a young woman.
Thank you.
They need both. So I have a problem with the men in any culture, but especially in the African American culture. I have a problem with the men who use the court system as an excuse to say why they can't raise their children, because I didn't hear either one of you say you couldn't raise your children because of the court.
Absolutely not.
So when these men say that, well, I can't see my child because the court did this and the court, that's a cop-out. That's a cop-out.
Elder, go ahead, Elder, jump in here. That's deep. And 770-559-2999, 770-559-2999. This is your show. We want to hear your perspective as well. Holla at us. Go ahead, Elder.
I want to go back to 1980 when the minister spoke at he was the keynote speaker at the Black Psychology Association.
Yes, sir.
And that whole lecture was about the psychology of the black man.
Right.
The self-hatred
Yes.
The image.
Yes. Yes.
Images are powerful,
They're
brother.
powerful.
And if I feed you a diet of image 24 hours a day, especially with this Facebook and the internet.
Oh.
Now, when we had the rabbit ears, like with you before we got cable,
Right.
TV went off after Johnny Carson.
Exactly. Exactly.
Image are powerful. See somehow why the brothers that become rappers and major entities, because when they get up in that usher lawn,
That upper echelon.
Upper echelon.
they sick them women on them.
Exactly. Yes, they
And
do.
we are weak, brother.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
We don't know too many black men strong like me.
Yes,
you can
sir.
sick on me 24/7.
Right. Let me tell you, let me jump in on that one because see, that's another point. The reason that our young men are weak, you know why? Because they have not been taken to the elderly care centers to find out what the end of the story is. See, what they focus on in white supremacy and media is young women.
Right.
And they exploit them
Right.
and objectify
Right.
young
Right.
women. But when it comes, see, I take care of my mother. She's
Right.
in my home.
Right.
I had my 33-year-old son when he was living with me for a few minutes there before he, I had to put him out because of his issues. I say, look, I want you to see what it's like to take care of your grandmother.
Right.
And
That's
I had to change her underwear
Right,
and everything.
right,
And he was
right.
in the room. He was like, oh my goodness, Dad, I don't want to see that. That's the
Right,
reason.
right.
Because what white folks show you is young women, the beginning of their development. They promote all these images of sexuality in white women. But what they don't show you is the end of the story. When the woman gets to an age where, and a stage, and it's not just the woman, the man too.
Right.
These young girls need to know how to take care of their father, their grandfather. But see, most of the time, the female ain't strong enough. I have to move my mother. I have to work out just to move my mother. My back, my neck, everything, I have to strengthen. The woman, she can't do that. So when these young men, if their mothers condition them to take care of the elders. See, but what they do, they warehousing the elders now. They're getting them out of the house. They don't show them this is how you take care of our elders because at the end of the day, they're not concerned. They're out there running after a dollar. Now, I want you to speak about this because I'm going to let you go ahead and come back. Go ahead and speak on this issue of care and how women are objectified and sexualized and not shown the true reality of what's going to happen to this woman if she lives to get 60 and 70 years old.
Yeah, I definitely agree that we are a microwave society where we just want everything instantaneous and just great, instant gratification. I absolutely agree with that. My biggest, again, I say it goes back to the home because I feel like because of the way that I was, because of how I was raised, I don't chase behind a dollar. I don't put in, and I make sure that my son is like that as well. That we don't feel that, okay, in order for us to be somebody, we have to have this amount of money and do this amount of thing and have this kind of car and this kind of home. Now, don't get me wrong. I like nice things. And there's nothing wrong with having nice things, but you got to work for it. And you don't have to, you have to stop caring about what everybody else thinks about you.
In social media environment?
In the social media environment. Honestly, I unplug from social media sometimes. I get out on social media and I post things. I put, images of me and my family and my friends, but when it comes to all those debates on social media and all that objectifying of women and, violence and this and that, I don't get into those kind of arguments. Because I don't think that's not
productive.
That's not productive.
Exactly.
Absolutely not. And you brought up a good point because I know that, my great grandparents, they lived with my great aunt.
Exactly.
My great aunt was their oldest daughter, and when they got of age where they couldn't do for themselves, she took them in her home.
Right.
And my elderly aunts and uncles, like they did the same thing.
Exactly.
And that's what I feel like is missing from the community because we immediately, when our parents or somebody becomes sick, we want to see where to go put them.
Exactly.
So, and I don't know where that starts or where that stops, but I know that's one thing in my family that we have decided, my mom will never go into a home.
Right.
My great aunt is the oldest living member of my family. She's 91.
Woo!
She'll never go into a home.
Exactly.
Never.
Right.
She's going to be right there in her house if I have to move back to Florida and be with her.
That's right.
But she'll never go in a home.
Well, see, because of my mother's condition, and Elder, I know you wanted to speak again, 770-559-2999. Because of my mother's condition, she's schizophrenic, she's paranoid. Her biological family all separated. She was stigmatized. My family in general, spiritual, natural, never really an acceptance. As long as I brought them around, but it's not like they're going to come and visit. Very few. There were some of my spiritual family brothers come through, and there's a couple of sisters, and they represent the other family members. But when we have the collective reality of our condition, for the most part, and you say, where does it start? When the man was taken out of the house, and the government was processing the Negroes that they created, that was when we began to look at the elderly as a throwaway commodity, because the white people can make money off us. It's not like we own these old folks' homes. We don't. They own it, and they process you through government handouts that they manufacture to make sure they continue. They put them on all these medications. They don't. And see, my mother is not. She's on some medications. I took her off. They said she had to go back on in order for her to even get care. I very seldom take her to the doctor. She's in excellent condition after she got an amputation, and that was part of some other conditions. But now she's doing quite well.
Praise
at
God.
86. And they, last year I didn't know if she would be living, but she's living she's still good. Elder, talk about this, because in the Muslim community, how are the elders handled? Because in our church, I would love for us to have, because many of our family members are getting up in age. It would be great for us to have a community where we took care of our elders, brought our children in, made it mandatory that all children had to go. If it wasn't their own parents, somebody else, because guess what? If we keep living, all of us going to get old. Go ahead.
Like the other cultures.
Yes.
I say other cultures do that.
She said, when did it start? It started back in the 70s.
Yes, sir.
That's when we broke, when, like Jose said, the movement went from the streets to the suites.
Yes, sir.
So, and then we integrated.
That's
Brother,
right.
when we were segregated, we were more,
we took
brother,
care.
I could knock on your door. You got a cup of tea,
That's
a
right.
cup of salt.
That's right.
You can.
That's
It's
right.
when we integrated.
That's
we
it.
threw away our
Culture.
and took on somebody else.
Yes, sir.
Now we throw away this here and go back to our. This would be fixed.
That's
now
right.
when we did that, guess what we did? We stopped teaching what elders had taught us.
Right.
We stopped being around one another.
That's right.
Looking out for one another.
That's right.
See what I'm saying? That's when it started, when we integrated.
That's it.
That's why Martin Luther King
That's
in
right.
the final call
That's right.
said when he finally woke up to his senses that he was sending his people into a burning house.
That's right.
Because he saw the handwriting on the wall, and that's why they killed him.
That's
Because
right.
he saw that integration was not going to save us, brother.
Yes, sir.
And it have even though we got a black man, a black family in the White House, look at the condition of our people.
Woo, brother.
Look, top 2% of the society own 95% of the wealth.
That's right.
And how can that be a good
Now,
society?
let me, because see what that is. Because see, today what we tend to use is education. We say, well, my child is well educated. They in college.
Yeah, to be a slave.
Some of the dumbest people I've seen. I mean, I went to college. But do you know when our families had second grade education, third grade education,
Sixth grade education.
sixth grade? Do you know what? We saved more money. We owned more land.
Businesses.
We had more societal harmonic. I want to use homogenized, but unity. Let me just use that word. We had more unity, but when you get these educated fools out here that think that because that the white man, Carter G. Woodson said, the miseducation of the Negro.
And
See,
Curtis
we've been
Mayfield made a song in the 70s.
Yes.
Called the educated fool.
the educated fool, and that's what we have out here because we don't save money. Our families are being thrown away. Our households, because we've gotten so educated that we've educated ourselves away from our own community. Speak to us, Miss Hope, about this education and how our ancestors didn't have so much education, but they
Right.
have more
They
than
had.
we have
Than what
today.
we
They had
had.
education.
Yeah, That's absolutely
They had
true.
education.
My great grandfather was, son of a sharecropper, and he used to tell us stories all the time. He lived till he was 99, and I remember him telling us.
Woo! Oh my
Yeah,
goodness!
I remember him telling us that, he had a sixth grade education.
Right.
That was it. But my grandfather owned homes
See?
back home in Pensacola.
That's
he
right.
had a business that he left to his daughters.
See?
And he put not only his wife, my great grandmother, but also his 3 daughters through college.
Yes.
And they went to historically black colleges because that's all they could go to.
Exactly.
Education is. I come from a family of educators, so education was really pressed into us from a very young age.
Yes.
We were told, get your diploma, go to college, and get your degree. But I think if my parents and my grandmother and grandfather, if they knew the things that we know now, I think they would have looked at it differently, because college is not for everybody.
Right.
And it's, the only thing that having a college education honestly teaches you is how to be an employee. Like, we're trained how to be employees from the time we go to school. In kindergarten. We are told you got to be at school at a certain time.
Right.
You can take a nap at this time.
Right.
You get recess at this time. You get lunch at this time, and everything is, set off in intervals and like we're being taught and molded from a very young age how to be an employee, and it's up to families to
reverse that syndrome.
Exactly.
And you know what? Travel is such a powerful educational tool. When we travel and go to other countries and able to see other,
how different
it is. When I was in Africa, I'm telling you, I saw so much where children had their own businesses, because what they were doing was going out selling eggs, selling pieces of fish. In that process, what they were doing they're being taught how to count, how to manage, how to budget. But today, we can't send our children nowhere, out even in the yard, because we got pedophiles, we got children that are being taken, because the objectification of the female and this mentality of taking because of a slave mentality of these white people has permeated our children, where this one child was getting ready to walk to school, and the only way she was saved, she had a dog with her. This guy was pulling her arm. It was on the news, and the dog came and bit this pedophile, and he released her. Come on in here, Elder.
I was going to say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, co-founder of the Nation of Islam, fourth grade education.
That's what I'm saying.
And he built a nation.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Come on.
You think I'm educated?
Yes, sir.
I have not went to no Harvard.
Right.
No Yale.
That's right.
What's that great learning system over yonder in London?
Yes, sir. All the Ivy Leagues, all the white folks stuff.
But sit Barack and them down and I debate them, and
yes, sir. That's right.
Cause I was educated by Allah.
That's right.
Not by no university or no
the University of Hard Knocks. Yes, sir.
So I'm saying to you here, when people say get education, they need to define that, brother.
Yes, sir.
Because you could get an education to be a fool.
That's right.
You can get an education to be a child molester.
Come on.
It's folks go on that thing and get educated how to be criminals, brother.
Exactly.
How to be rapists.
Yes.
They just did a special on 2020 about them football players up there in one of them colleges.
Exactly.
How they educate, how to lure women,
And
give them
got
a date rape drug.
That's right.
Brother.
They must have went to the school of Bill Cosby.
Well,
What's up? You know what I'm talking about? Now, yes, sir. Well, when I say that, unfortunately, now, when you go to the white man's Playboy mansion, come on now. You think it's going to be all good when you go up in there?
Brother.
You go up in there for the freak nasty.
Brother.
Now, when you get the freak nasty, then all of a sudden now you've been made a victim. Talk to us about this. I mean, when we talk about this issue,
women may not like what I have to say
come
about
on
this.
with it then. Don't be shy about it.
Hey, I wasn't there, so I can't say what's true or not, but I just find it, it's interesting to me when women put themselves in a certain situation and then say, well, this and this happened. It's almost like if I went to a strip club,
right,
and a man started throwing money at me and I get upset because he's throwing money at me while I'm dancing. Well, you're in a strip club.
Hello?
What do you think is going to happen?
Come on.
So, that whole instance with Bill Cosby, I just, I'm not excusing if that's what he was doing. And like I said, I'm not a judge and jury, so I'm not trying him here and saying what he did. But if that's what he was doing, I'm not excusing that. That's absolutely wrong, to take advantage of a woman putting something in her drink or whatever. But these women have to take responsibility for themselves as well. And how are you 16, 17, 18 years of age and you going to the Playboy Mansion?
Come on now.
Hello? What are you doing in the Playboy Mansion? And what do you think is going to happen while you in the Playboy Mansion?
No.
Let's just be real. You a young woman around a whole bunch of wealthy, older men.
Perverts.
Come on now.
Right.
You know what they're there for. They're not there because they just think you're cute and want to smile at you and have drinks.
Right.
If you're going to play like a big girl, you need to be responsible for your actions.
You'd be surprised at foolish women, because I done met some.
Ooh,
Think
boy.
that they can go and pull their dress up.
That's right.
I done met some
Ain't that what the
women.
feminists say? They say that I can walk around butt naked.
Right.
That don't
Matter
mean
of
you
fact,
right.
they trying to pass a law up there in New York now.
Right.
That women can walk around with no
Bras.
and nothing on.
Okay.
Just walk around bare-chested like men.
Right. Well, in Africa, as you know, they do that
Right.
because they haven't been conditioned
That's
by
what I'm saying. They can't do
the
that.
mindset of
Right.
white supremacy and
And
how
perverted.
the slave mentality. I can go take whatever I
Right.
want. Go ahead.
What I was gonna say is about Denise Williams, the
Yes,
singer.
sir.
She made Black Butterfly.
Right.
Let's hear it for the boys.
Right.
Mm.
She was a backup singer for Stevie Wonder before she became into
Right.
her own.
Right.
They were performing at the Playboy. This before it moved to California,
Right.
in Chicago.
Okay.
Hugh Hefner invited them to the after-hour thing.
To the mansion.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now, Denise Williams, being a church girl, grew up.
Get ready to
She
get
admit
turned out.
No, brother.
Come on.
She admit that she was ignorant.
Right.
She thought it was just an after-hour party. You know how they entertain us.
At the Playboy Mansion.
But when she got there
Yes, sir.
and saw what was going on,
That's right.
she fell down on her knees and she started calling on the Creator.
Yes,
They
sir.
got her out of there and put
I
her in
bet
a
they
taxi.
did.
Exactly.
She said she was about to lose her mind.
That's
brother.
right. That's
I
right.
will never forget her telling that story
That's
back
right.
in the 80s.
That's right.
And that's the difference.
That's
Now,
the difference. Right there.
And I'm saying
exactly.
to you here, there are a lot of foolish women
Absolutely.
think that they can go there and drink and be half naked and a
Right.
man don't supposed to touch them. Now, I done got in big debates about that.
That's right.
You are the special one
That's right.
that know you can't do that.
Absolutely
Now,
not.
where did they get that from? In America,
America.
I'm free.
Right.
I'm free to do anything.
That's right. That's right.
If I want to pull my dress over my head, I'm free. I can do that.
Exactly.
And they promote that day in and day out.
Now, since we have Ms. Hope here, I want to talk about the feminist agenda in America. Because what we found in the feminism, see, I made the comment. I said, now, they ain't never stopped killing us, beating, specifically men. They've been doing that ever since we got off the boat.
Mm-hmm.
They've been raping our women and men. And I said, now, women now, and especially in our community, they have equal pay. In some instances
More.
and reports, they make more
Mm-hmm.
because they found that they could use the women to control the men. When we talk about this issue of feminism, what I have found, not only has it divided the man against the woman, it has created a mentality that separates our sisters from their own culture. When you had the young lady who was on Bill Cosby, Rayvon, one of them, she said she don't want to be considered black, quote unquote black. It was one of the Bill Cosby.
Oh, you talking about
it'll come
the
to
one
you.
that played
The little
Denise,
girl? No.
Yeah, that played Denise, a stepdaughter.
Right.
Raven Simone.
Raven Simone. And she's a deviant and a pervert now because that's what the legal terminology, the biblical terminology calls it sodomy. And it's a legal term.
abomination.
It's an abomination. But when we
She's
talk
come out
about...
and said she's homosexual, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a deviant. And so the issue is, when we talk about this issue of feminism, and the white woman has used this very skillfully against the weak minds of our sisters that have alienated them from their African side and brought them over to the white woman's side because of the agenda that the smiling faces, they don't understand the evil that's lurking within. Speak to us from your perspective of feminism in America and its impact on our families.
Yeah, I always laugh when I encounter that feminist agenda, because I don't think that I don't think it's positive. There's nothing positive about it to me. I think it does take away from our identities and who we are. Feminists to me are not looking at, to say that wanting equal rights and equal pay is one thing, but to totally ostracize yourselves from men, to me is, that's unheard of. Like, that's just ridiculous. Why anyone would think that would be okay. We cannot, woman can't live without man. Man cannot live without woman. We are supposed to be together. We are supposed to be in harmony. So I don't agree. I don't agree with that. I do believe in equality, but I don't agree in separating from what is rightfully, what is God given, what is rightfully supposed to happen.
Well,
from the law of nature. I don't agree.
This is the new normal. Now let me talk to you, because see, the white folks, and give me a time, Black. White folks have made us think that they're protecting us. 2 minutes? Okay, we're down toward the end of the show. Because when you talked about equal pay, if the white man won't pay his mama, his mother, his aunt, his grandmother, his cousins equal pay for doing the same job, what makes us think because we vote for him that he's gonna give us anything equal, when they think that we're not even human, we're less than human? We're getting ready to.
They're never gonna let us make as much as they make. That's just, we need to get that into our heads. They're never gonna let us make as much. They're gonna let us get right up there to that glass ceiling, and they're gonna put us in a position and put us above some of our peers, so that our peers start looking at us like we're Uncle Tom, and we stop dealing with them because we think now, well, I'm making this much money, I'm making 6 figures, I'm making more than you because I'm in management and you're still this. So until we get it through our heads that we have to create our own businesses and make sure that our money works for us.
That's it.
It's always going to be that division.
Look, we're on the way out. I want to thank you. We probably got about a minute. Go ahead and make a quick comment.
I was going to say the economic blueprint of the Nation of Islam, you can go to the website, and that's what you're talking about, building housing, industrial jobs, food, clothing.
What is the website?
Economic Blueprint .org. Muhammad Economic Blueprint. Safeway Bank Trust Company.
All right. Well, we're on the way out. We want to thank you. This has been a powerful program. I hope this information has helped to relegate the lies and the profiles of white supremacy and put them in a corner somewhere where you can put a dunce hat on them. And we want to elevate our sons and daughters to the point where we can begin to love each other, respect, but not discount the truths that lie underneath the smiling faces. We want to thank you once again. Peace in the Middle East, in your hearts, and right here. Peace.
And come out of that box. Get out of that box
that
you've been put in. Come out of it. Now, when you said you don't know why Comcast, because this is the Most High will.